guys. Thank you, both Daniel and Ramona, for putting up so big crowd here. So quite some efforts. I can understand that. So I'll go quicker, so I don't delay further. Just a few words about us. We are a company located here in Germany, in Bavaria. I still needed a flight to come here, so it's quite long German. And then we have back offices in both Romania and Albania. Over 19 years by now of experience with doing server-side solutions in VoIP environments, both in retail as well as wholesale. And you know how responsible we are by now. Regarding CGRateS, it's a real-time enterprise billing suite for those of you first time hearing about it. It's simply pluggable, as I will talk in the next slides, into existing infrastructure, so you don't have to route through some specific solutions. It should be able to be future-proof to accommodate new components. It should also be non-intrusive into existing setups. It's all open source software, born in 2010, first sources published in 2012. We were here in 2013 at first Kamailio World. By now it has more than 450,000 lines of code with close to zero AI. Consideration for at least we don't know it, so we have a no AI policy since we are an open source company. 3 branches, indefinitely supported, the famous V010 stable, master and 1.0. We work more and more on 1.0, as Daniel said. We even have it on production, but not full set of functionality which we have in master or V010. Performance-oriented system, of course, we are an OCS. We need to be fast. For that, we have an advanced caching mechanism, which recently became a database. So we can store offline, same like Redis does. So we can replace even Redis by now with a complete standalone solution without needing any database. We include API load balancer for big to very big networks, and the in-memory database, which I talked about. The architecture is modular. It was from beginning like that. For those of you knowing Golang, it's all asynchronous and micro threads and microservices. It should be fairly easy to enhance by replacing one of our components with one of yours if you are you dislike anything about LGPL. Test-driven development, it's our philosophy, so we have more than 10,000 tests on the platform, again, zero AI. CGRateS, since everybody promotes AI, there are also people which are promoting no AI, so I think it's democracy. CGRateS appliances, what we do, online or offline charging system with complex rating involved, unlimited bundles, and CDR server, high number of interfaces both in and out. Another use case is routing server. Flexible routing strategy, number portability support, because it starts becoming very important with routing, especially cost-based routing. And there we have complex rating, we have bundle support, so you can get a specific number of minutes from your supplier and then change the suppliers as soon as these minutes are gone. Statistics-based routing, I'll talk about it, and also channel limits, so you can terminate only 10 simultaneous channels to a specific destination. Then fraud mitigation server, built-in multiple systems on our side. It can be informative or reactive, so it can go up to shutting down the account itself. and it supports also escalation procedures. Then statistics server, I talked already about some of the functionality in routing. Then resource utilization control, this monitoring of the channels, simultaneous channels, based on anything you like to think, based on time, on destination, on source, or whatever. It can also group resources and fail over through them. Then mediation server, if you have to enhance your CDRs with specific information, like adding PayPal account on the fly or Stripe or whatever. Then billing assurance, do parallel billing to what you already have, just to prove if your supplier is wrong or not. And recently, IPAM server, so IP address management system. This starts to be important in 5G networks and IoT, for example, where you have to assign to specific devices static IP addresses. And mobile operators, they don't have this functionality. They usually go with DHCP. So it might be that you need to assign private IPs or make VPNs between two fridge, for example, if it makes sense. So you can use such a solution. Then our architecture is basically based on agents talking outside. So there we have the diameter, which is talking to mobile networks, radios, IP networks, or DNS, enum, all this. And you can also find Kamailio agent and a generic event reader system, which can read CDRs or events from SQL or other message buses, Kafka, SQS, even NATS if you heard about it. So we support all of this. Then all of these events are gathered into a central point named sessions, which are creating virtual sessions parallel to the sessions which you find in Kamailio, for example. And then core subsystems, which are having implementation of different or implementing different functionality. And there, it's worth to mention that all of these agents, sessions, core subsystems, they all talk between themselves via APIs. So you can keep them in the same process or expand them over the entire globe if you want to. So if you have to implement a very big application, you can do that by splitting them all over the place. As soon as you have the routing, then you export it by either writing to a database or going out to Kafka or Amazon Cloud or whatever you want. Then a session processing will take, it has normally 4 or 5 states. Authorization and CDR is what it matters today, what we are talking about. But you can also have session start in case of real-time prepaid and session terminate. Again, they make a good team together. And in case of mobile networks, you have also session update, because there the billing heartbeat is given by the diameter client. In terms of dynamic routing system, it's using a dedicated subsystem in CGRateS. All these subsystems, as I told you, they look like standalone API servers. So you can take one or all of them. It depends on what are your needs. It has full API coverage, integrated inside sessions, process event API. Remember, session is the one gathering from all the agents. So that includes Kamailio sending this API to CGRateS sessions process event. And it has LRN support or number portability. LRN is more for US market, but number portability support also for dynamic routing. It has bundle and cost based, so you can do a block of minutes with specific cost, or you can go cost per minute, cost per hour, or per anything you like to cost. Quality filters based on stats, so you can send your traffic to a supplier, but consider its stats. So you will terminate to a supplier only if its ASR is close to or higher than 75%. Even if its cost is low, you involve quality metrics, and in that case, you are a bit on the safer side. Then you have independent data feed possibility. So you can use a SIP tester, for example, to feed you CDR's information in order to gather the real stats. So and then you can use this into your existing routing. Then you can also have quality monitoring via another subsystem named thresholds. This is sort of our NMS. And there you get various notifications and actions on them. Then you have also load balancing. The balancing is based on supplier ratio, and the calls again are considered based on the CDRs. So it's real terminated calls. Integrates traffic patterns, so if you want LCR, it doesn't have to be per minute. It can be per your average call duration of that time. So that's important, because if you are going between peak and off-peak, it could be that you are failing, because you will normally consider your price per minute, but in reality you have a 3 minutes average call duration, which goes to your off-peak time, which the price will matter differently than the one in peak. Then you have various strategies for routing: weight-based, least cost, highest cost, for whoever wants to I don't know, make some damage. Quality of service, resource ascending. So, for example, send to the supplier with the most active calls, or send to the suppliers with the least active calls. So you can also consider channels inside. So as you see, you have a lot of options when you are routing. So it's not anymore only prefix-based routing, which it used to be in all times. In terms of configuration, this is how a route profile looks like, and you see here that you have filters. These filters, they look into event itself, and you can put anything what is in your event. You can control it and make decisions using the filters. And if you see the filters, they are in multiple places what we call dynamic. So it can be dynamic blocker, dynamic weight. So even if a profile has priority, depending on the weight, you can make also its priority dynamic. So it can be priority 10 if the user is A and calling B at this time, or it can be priority 100 if it's another user or another time or another prefix or whatever, how you want to do it. So you are very, you can fine-tune very deep your routing. And then you can also have inside the route the same filters which are modifying the behavior. So routes also can be more priority or less priority depending on your event. And then you can have also blockers and failover between routing profiles, so you can gather multiple routing profiles inside. Kamailio integration, it's via Evapi client. So we maintain an Evapi client for Go. We do it since beginning, so since I think Evapi was available in 2014 or so. Then bidirectional communication open to sessions, so we can force disconnects from the billing side. Session synchronization with Kamailio, because it could be you have restarted CGRateS or whatever, missed some events because of networking or something, and we need to synchronize between real-time billing and Kamailio. And we have also predefined events for requests and replies. And we support also billing out of DB flat store files. These are useful again for wholesale. So if you don't want the real time and you don't want to influence the performance of your Kamailio proxy with CDRs, you can still write them to flat store and process them offline. Then routing using the routes module, which I explained you about. And here what is important is that we complement Kamailio routing modules. We don't replace them. So what we do, we return back some routing labels, and that's all we do. And it's the responsibility of the administrator of Kamailio server where it uses these routing labels. And some modules where you can use it and how you can route CGRateS with Kamailio is carrier route or LCR or derouting or dispatcher. So you have quite some options in Kamailio to make use of this extra application. Then it's fast. It's asynchronous on top of Evapi, which is by default very fast. And CGRateS on its side, it uses everything from cache. And it's flexible. You don't have hard-coded. You can feed any information you have in Kamailio, you can feed it in CGRateS and the other way around. And flexible and reliable. We have a pool of connections, and we have automatic authorization. In case of CGRateS is down, your calls are secured because the calls will not connect. They will stay blocked there in the route, in the asynchronous route. So this is just an overview how these things can work. So you send an invite which gets passed to CGRateS like an external module. So it looks like CGRateS is part of Kamailio, and it doesn't influence your SIP call flow. And this is an example of authorization. So you send this event via Evapi. So you see you are asking an authorization to be done with accounts and routes. And the event coming back, it tells you what is the call maximum usage which is allowed to take, which is in this case 1 minute. And it returns you the vendors and some extra parameters which you can send in CGRateS. So for example, if you want to strip or append some prefix per vendor. And based on this information, this is how you do it in Kamailio. And this is how you do how you process this reply from CGRateS. You see, you are extracting via JSON get field from the reply. And you are using this, for example, extracting carrier, and you do carrier route, and you use, instead of domain, you could use here directly instead of carrier. So you are flexible. Instead of domain of the carrier route, you are using a CGRateS domain. So it's pretty straightforward, and I encourage you to do it and complain if something doesn't work properly on our Google group support. Sorry, I went through fast because I was already late by default. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dan, for all this integration and components that you are running. We have time for here question at least.
Does it support multi-tenancy? Multi-tenancy?
Yeah, of course. It's
Okay.
multi-tenant by default, please.
Okay, I have one more question also. If I don't integrate directly in Kamailio and I want to use REST API for rating and routing, is it possible?
Yeah, there are APIs available. You will be like a Kamailio agent, same like here. So, by the way, here you see the tenant. So you can define tenant in the root profile separately. Of course, you're welcome. But I encourage you to use Kamailio.
Okay, we have Evgeny with a quick question until Alexander gets set up.
I probably didn't notice. Do you support origin-based pricing?
Yes.
I didn't see, but it's supported.
It is supported. Via this filter, you can do anything you like, because
But
you
how
have...
do you handle the inbound rates from operators? How do you handle and import? It's a lot.
Via these filters, you define a rate associated, and what rate it means, it's up to you to define it. Because in the rate profile, you have multiple filters. Contact me offline, and I'll explain you deeply. Okay?
Okay, Alexander, you ready?
No, not yet.
No, we keep delaying.